What's going on, guys? That's right, today we're doing a video that is very different. I will not be talking about FIFA 17 or FIFA 18. We'll be talking about the Premier League and what happened this past week in the Premier League, in the games. Now, I didn't do a prediction videos. I thought about doing a prediction video, but basically it was about the same as anyone. The only difference I had, because a lot of people have Manchester City winning and Manchester United coming in second. I'm a Manchester United fan, okay? It's Manchester United. They're going to win the league. I didn't say they were going to win the league last year, and I'm honest whenever they're not going to win the league. Last year, I felt like they put too many new pieces together. They still didn't have enough time to work as a unit, even though they had a badass striker like Zlatan. They brought in Pogba, all these guys, Mkhitaryan. They still didn't have a defensive core that was sturdy. I'll get to that in a second. They still don't have a really good defensive core, I think. I'm not sure about Lindelof. We'll see what happens, but I'm not sure how that's going to go. If he could end up becoming a crazy center back, both not sure. Okay, guys, so let's start with the first game. We've got Arsenal versus Leicester City, and this was a battle. Okay, this was a battle, and Leicester showed up. I can't believe how good of a game this was. This was the best start to the Premier League season. We had Leicester coming back and forth, Arsenal going back and forth, goal, goal, goal. It was a 4-3 thriller. Lacazette gets a debut goal, a great header. He was in perfect position. Oh, this game. I thought Leicester could have squeaked this one out. Vardy, great game for Vardy. Vardy had 2 goals. Vardy's back. Vardy is back in form. I sure hope he can keep it up this year. I think Leicester can actually compete this year. Last year, like I said, very disappointing. Very disappointing year last year for Leicester. I think this year they can come back in and stay in the top 6 to 8, I think. They're going to be able to play well against good teams again. Losing Conte last year, I think, absolutely decimated their midfield, and it was a great showing for them. Great showing. Back and forth. Eventually, it was Ramsey who scored the tying goal in like the 80th minute or 83rd minute. Giroud then puts in a header to seal it. 4-3, great game. Arsenal needs to keep Alexis Sanchez, though. If they lose Sanchez, it's going to look like this all year. They need more attacking threat. I mean, I know Giroud, I don't know. Sanchez brings them a whole new dynamic. I think you create so much more opportunities and chances when you have a guy like Alexis Sanchez on the field. Next up, the next game we have is Liverpool and Watford. Again, this was an absolute war, okay? Loved this game. Went back and forth quite a bit. Ducour, the Watford midfielder, was really impressive. I really like this guy. He created a lot of good chances. He was mixing it up in the midfield. Ducour for Watford, not to mention a bunch of additions they just brought in this year. I think Watford could look really good. I think they could also be like Leicester, where a team that, you know, pokes and stabs the big teams a little bit and maybe squeaks out a win against a few teams. But Liverpool, oh boy, Salah, another debut. He scores a great goal. In the end, Liverpool tie Watford. They kind of blow it at the end of the game. Watford's able to put in another header. It's from Britos, the center back. Very disappointing for Jurgen Klopp. You know, being pretty close to pulling off a win. Would like to see Liverpool make a few more additions to their team. They definitely do need Van Dijk. If they don't get Van Dijk, it's going to be a questionable season for them, because I think defensively they look vulnerable. Up in the air, set pieces, they need to make a move defensively, because Liverpool's going to struggle. I don't see them in the top 4 this year if they don't make some purchases. So our next match is Huddersfield versus Crystal Palace. Now Huddersfield scores very early on, gets their first goal in the Premier League. They look good. They out-hustle Crystal Palace. They really outplay them. 3-0 ends up being the score. There's a young guy named Mounier. This guy gets 2 goals. He has a sensational game. It's just embarrassing to see Crystal Palace get just bounced on by a team that's an up-and-coming championship team. They come in, gets their first win. Hey, Huddersfield's in second place. Southampton versus Swansea. Man. Southampton, 545 minutes without scoring a goal at home. And it didn't change. 0-0 game, very boring. If you missed this game, be okay. It's okay. It's okay because it wasn't worth watching. Brighton versus Manchester City. Now, Brighton had a lot of chances. They had chances to score, but in the end, you had Aguero score. You had KDB come back and he tracked back and made a great steal that led to another goal late in the game. Manchester City, I don't know. They have a chance of winning like they do every year. They spend all the money. They have the players. I'm not one of those Manchester United fans that are like, fuck Man City, they suck. I know what Manchester City looks like when they're firing on all cylinders. They look good. They've got KDB, Aguero. They've got those two alone, just without Gabriel Jesus, who made a great impact on this game also. Man City again was the top spender this year with 205 million euros. I don't know. I think Man City, a great acquisition with Kyle Walker. They needed a right back. I still think they kind of need a left back, and their defense is still a little, John Stones not living up to the price tag for sure. It'll be interesting to see how this one works. There's a lot of bad defense in the Premier League right now, even at the top clubs. There's not those. I mean, you look at like Juventus, where you've got Chiellini's, and you've got Boatengs at Bayern Munich's, and you've got the PKs and the Ramoses of the BBVA. It is not a defensive strong league. I know someone's gonna be like, my team's got or he's got them, or yes, but I just think the best defenseman. Spurs has a pretty decent defense. But other than that, I can't really see a lot of teams with a good, solid core center backs. And actually, Spurs loses Kyle Walker, so that's, they lose a good piece, even though Trippier will fit in. It's okay. Let's move on. So Manchester City wins. Good game. They're still coming in second place this year. Now, Chelsea. Gary Cahill, what the fuck are you doing? What is the 13th minute? Cahill gets a red. And Burnley just starts ripping it. Was it 3-0, I think, at halftime? Burnley took advantage and just started blowing these guys off the field. Chelsea down 10 men. Just couldn't. I don't know what it was. They couldn't stop Vokes. Vokes ended up getting 2 goals. Now, interestingly, towards the end of the game, Morata gets his debut goal. Another debut goal for one of the guys who came into the Premier League this year. And they actually end up, they get a second goal from David Luiz at the end, but it's just not enough. Cesc Fabregas gets sent off. Luiz scored the second goal with 9 men. Cesc Fabregas sent off. Gary Cahill gets sent off. It just blows my mind that Chelsea blew this game. And it was players that are older and smart, and you would just not think that they would do something this stupid, but they did. Chelsea, I can't make a prediction. I can't say just based on that game, they're not going to, do well all year. They're going to be in the top 4, but they might be hanging outside the top 4 or just at that 4 line. I don't know. I think Spurs is going to come ahead of them. I think Chelsea ends up in 4th this year. I don't know. I don't think Morata is going to have the difference that everyone else thinks he's going to have. Morata's a good player, and he didn't get a lot of playing time in Madrid. He did get playing time at Juventus, and he played really well. But he's not Diego Costa. I think Diego Costa is just better by not a lot, because Morata's young and he's got potential. But they need Diego Costa back in this team. Or they need to make another move, or they need to do something. Because they fell apart, first of all, and I just don't think Morata's going to be enough in the end. Let's move on. Chelsea loses 3-2. Everton versus Stoke. Now, my boy Wayne Rooney comes back to Everton and he scores another debut goal for someone who moved teams. I know he didn't come into the league, but it's a debut goal for him. He scores a nice header. He gets into the right place at the right time. And he's playing midfield a bit at Manchester United, kind of back a little bit. I don't know where he's going to play. Everton loses Lukaku. Rooney cannot slot into that position and do what Lukaku could do. Lukaku put up, he's one of the top, I think, 3 goal scorers in the last 3 years. Him and Harry Kane, at least, and I think there's somebody else. But I know Harry Kane and Lukaku have scored the most goals out of any player in the Premier League in the last couple of years. They lose a huge goal scorer. Rooney's a good addition. It's nice to see him back. It's nice to see him score a goal. And they go up 1-0, and they win 1-0 against Stoke City. Pickford, their goalkeeper, this guy showed the hell up too. Wow. Some big time saves from Pickford at the end of the game there. Impressed with Pickford. Really, really impressed with Pickford. If he has a fantastic year this year, he'll be out of Everton and he'll be playing for Manchester City, I'm sure. Next up, we've got West Brom versus Bournemouth. Kind of a boring game. West Brom wins 1-0. The guy Hagazi, also his debut. Nice goal. It was kind of scrappy. Boring game. We'll move on. Next up, we have Tottenham versus Newcastle. And what do you know? We get another dumbass red card. I don't know what the hell John Joe Shelby was thinking. He goes in with a shitty tackle. And then when he's getting up, he stomps on Dele Alli's foot. Listen, I'd be pissed if I had to, try to defend Dele Alli. Anyways, the guy's a fucking monster. But you don't stomp on his foot right in front of the ref. Do it like down the field, a little bit further away from the ref and try to get away with it, John Joe. You're like, it almost seemed like John Joe's like, there's a bad tackle, and you know what? Fuck this, I'm out of here. Like, he almost stomped on his foot and said, I want to get the fuck out of this game, I'm done. Bye. Go to the locker room. And he gets sent off. Tottenham looked amazing as always. They were playing Newcastle, and Newcastle doesn't necessarily have the best team right now. I think they've got some decent players still, but they were the decent players that played well in the championship. They haven't made enough, moves to make them a solid BPL team. You look at teams like Bournemouth, who are small clubs, but make nice acquisitions that change their team and make them competitive. They didn't do that this year. I do think Gale, their striker, is good, but he doesn't have enough around him. And when you got a guy like John Joe Shelby, who is pretty good, getting sent off right away, there goes one of your main midfield distributors. What are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? Tottenham just was Tottenham. They are one of the best teams. We had at one point, Eriksson, it was Ali, Eriksson, and Kane, just back and forth, goal. That is how it's done, ladies and gentlemen. The way they were playing eventually, and I know they're playing against 10 men. It was Newcastle. Now, I said Tottenham is definitely going to end up in 3rd place. This is what I think. It'll be Chelsea in 4th, Tottenham in 3rd, Manchester City in 2nd, and that's right. Big boys, the Red Devils, Manchester United in 1st, and they had a phenomenal game. 4-0 win against, yes, West Ham. And West Ham has a decent team. They were missing a few of their big players that day. But the way Manchester United just threatened, constantly threatened, up and down the field, it reminded me of Alex Ferguson days, where every time they had the ball and they got past the halfway line, you thought this could be a break and they could score. And it was just constant. Lukaku, another debutant who scored an amazing goal. And that's the thing too. Manchester United didn't just score some goals and some scrappy, touchline bouncing around goals. They scored amazing goals. Martial looked like FIFA 17 Martial, okay? Great chance, great goal. Pogba with a boom of a shot. This was an impressive, very impressive first game for Manchester United. I could only hope and pray that they remain this consistent, which nobody can. I mean, that's just the first game. It's early to say that this is going to be consistent, but this team looked good. The biggest piece of this, the best move they made all year. There's a lot of people that agree with me. Nemanja Matic. He made a steal. He stole the ball at one point, and I might have been the one that led to either one of Lukaku's goals, or it might have been Pogba's goal. But having that in the middle of the field is crucial, okay? They were lacking the defense before, and they still, like I said, I'm unsure about Lindelof, but they still have Smalling. But to have Matic there, and then you have Pogba, who could be Pogba now, because he doesn't have to be a CDM anymore. He doesn't have to defend as much. He's got somebody like Matic who is going to be solid. Why the hell did Chelsea get rid of Matic? There was even players, I forget who was it, Mkhitaryan, who's like, I don't know why the hell Chelsea got rid of him. Nobody knows why you would get rid of a guy like this. I know they got the Bakayoko guy from, I think, Monaco, but he's young. Matic is an older player who's smart, who knows what to do. Now they've got Matic in the midfield, they've got Pogba in the middle, and they've got Lukaku up top. That middle is what they were missing for a long time. And as long as that Lukaku could do what he has done in the last few years and score goals, and he proved himself that he could do it there, but it was against West Ham. I'm just saying. It's nothing against West Ham, it's just you have to show up against the Man Cities, the Chelseas, the Liverpools, the Arsenals. You show up against the Big Four, you're going to be the top dog. I didn't really want to do like a Premier League prediction, like I said, because it's already the first game of the seasons have already started for everybody, but not just based on these games. I would not have changed Chelsea's. I would not have said they were in fourth place, like just because of this game. Before this weekend started, I had Manchester United, Manchester City, Spurs, and then Chelsea. I think Spurs are class, and it's a shame if Manchester City and Manchester United were just not as good. Spurs would be the best team in the league. But there it is, guys. That is the Premier League Week 1. Catch me next week. I'll try to get it out a little bit ahead of time before Thursday like I did this week. But if you guys like this video, drop a thumbs up, subscribe, and until next time, guys, thanks for freaking watching.